Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to another book haul. This is a rather large book haul, sort of large, accumulated over the last 2 or 3 hauls. So I figured I'd show them to you now before they end up getting scattered all over the library. And let's just jump right in with a nod in the direction of our bygone at least, June on the Range, which was wonderful, which I spent reading my first Louis L'Amour novel, Silver Canyon. And I found a bunch of old paperbacks of Louis L'Amour novels, The Proving Trail, The Warrior's Path, and The Far Blue Mountains. Both of these are Sackett books, and I haven't read any of the Sackett books yet. But this one is like number 2 and 3, I believe, or something like that. I don't have the very first one, but I couldn't find online on a brief search what the chronological order of the Sacketts were, in terms of when he wrote them, versus what is the order of the books that you're supposed to read. I don't know if it's mixed up and muddled, kind of like the Chronicles of Narnia are. But I'm really excited to have those. I'm very stoked. And then along that same vein, we have Riders of the Purple Sage by Zane Grey. And this is the name that I hear most often in the same breath as Louis L'Amour on BookTube. It has that interesting little blue mark on the top on the pages, which is kind of an interesting design. But of all the Zane Grey books that I've heard of, this one has stuck out to me the most. I think this is considered his masterpiece. If you have thoughts, let me know. And then I have this copy of Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. In my very first book haul I ever did on this channel, my second video on this channel, fun enough, I got a copy of Kidnapped that's beautiful and small and has probably about 1 read in it before it disintegrates in my hands, like my copy of Treasure Island did. So I wanted to have something a little bit more sturdy, just a paperback that I can bustle around with. But I haven't read these yet, so I'm very excited to. Next up, we have Milton, John Milton's Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. So I have a copy of Paradise Lost already with Gustave Doré illustrations, which I'm really excited about. But that's just the text. And this being a very elusive work, I think I'm going to need to read something with a little bit of a critical apparatus. Plus, I just love Signet Classics. I normally like their covers. This cover's very interesting. I mean, look at that. A bit beigey for my taste, but I still very much like it. But I also just like the binding of Signet Classics. They feel very dense and sturdy. And we're going to end this book haul with a Signet that is one of my favorite physical books I've ever gotten. And then we got here a hardcover of a very popular book on this corner of BookTube, besides One Young Man Who Burned All Bridges and Said He Hated It, apparently. But I haven't read it. The Agony and the Ecstasy, a novel about Michelangelo with Irving Stone on the back. Dust jacket and all. I haven't even looked. How does this look without the dust jacket? Oh, it looks really cool. Oh, I like it much better. I tend to like the way books look without dust jackets. I don't know about you. But yeah, the Agony and the Ecstasy. I'm gonna be diving into the Renaissance at some point, and maybe this will be a good entry point because it's a great piece of fiction about it. Unless you have a recommendation for some nonfiction. This is definitely falls into the category of a Steve book, and it's The Last Hurrah by Edwin O'Connor, a political tale of a man in his last bid for an election or re-election, I don't know, and it's just corrupt politics, fun all the way through, apparently. Kind of an old, battered copy. It's got Becky Miles' name on it, so thank you, Becky Miles, for this old, used copy. But I anticipate this one just being a blast. You just get, such fun praise for a book like that, and you just want to read it. And then we have this Herman Melville thing that I showed y'all in my previous preparation for Moby Dick read-along that we're doing now. I read some of the letters from Hawthorne, from Melville to Hawthorne, because Melville destroyed his letters that he got from Hawthorne, which is so sad, and some of his poetry. Also has that blue it's not binding, but it's blue on the sides of the pages. It's just crazy. And there's a little cute thing in here. Ex Libris, Michael and Linda Pearson. So I kind of wrote my own, this book once must belong to a cat, but now it belongs to a human whose name is Denson Camp. And that's it's cool to always find the marks of people in the past. I don't at all mind people writing their names in books and myself doing the same, because then it feels like that book kind of has heritage. It gets passed from person to person. I really like that about used books. It's a medium that lends itself to that more than most other things. Like, vinyl records and CDs, you normally don't write your names in, but a book you will, And then some Shakespeare. I got King Lear, just a little copy. Never read King Lear. This is kind of, if I had to say the one Shakespearean tragedy that I'm most excited to get to, of course, it would be King Lear. Because I've read Macbeth and I've read Hamlet, both many times. But I've never read King Lear, and it pops up a lot. It's very, very much a book that's referenced in my culture. So maybe for Shakespeare, it's Shakespeare now. Maybe I'll get to it. I'm gonna do a Midsummer Night stream before I do King Lear for sure. But I'm excited, and a beautiful cover. I love that. Yeah, very wonderful. Then we have a piece of well, I guess this is nonfiction. Oh, it is a novel. Never mind. I thought this was, well, anyways, I've heard about this. The Cruelty, Nicholas Montserrat. But for some reason, I thought this was autobiographical about his experience in the war. But I think he was in the war, and I've heard this on many booktube channels, and it was very cheap. This is like 50 cents. It was actually the price, that it has on the cover, which is funny, at the used book library sale that I was at. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited for that. I haven't ever really taken a dive into World War II history. It's something that I definitely need to do at some point. I studied abroad in Germany when I was a junior and had a lot of experience with World War II history doing that program, which was great. And so I just haven't read about it outside of that. I've sort of felt like I already have some sort of mental background for it. But someday there will come that time. Then I got this at Goodwill for like 60 cents. It's just another copy of The Wind in the Willows, except it has this dreadful cover with this. It's not a sticker. This is built into the cover. I have no idea who's making these decisions. So I'm going to tear this off and make my own cover for this and have a better copy. Even though I have that other copy of The Wind in the Willows that might be an AI cover, I thought it'd be better to just, pay the 60 cents and make my own thing. That's my philosophy. Here we have a Roald Dahl book. And book is an overstatement, but called SEO Trot. And for all you people who are interested in words, try to figure out what this word is backwards and try to figure out what he's holding on the cover. And this I just thought was a delightful story. I don't even know if it's for kids because like the main foil, the main thing that this guy does is deceive a woman. So it's like, it's not very moral. Roald Dahl, I wouldn't praise him for his morality necessarily, but I praise him for other things. Quentin Blake's illustrations throughout this are just phenomenal. It's a tortoise story basically about this guy who's in love with his neighbor who lives on the balcony below him. And she has a tortoise that she loves more than anything in the world. And he thinks that if he can figure out a way to magically make the tortoise grow, that she'll fall in love with him. So he basically buys hundreds of tortoises and slowly replaces them with tortoises that are just slightly larger than the last one. So it seems like it's growing at an increased rate. And it works. But the incorporation of text to illustration is really well done here. And there's this one part where the main character goes bounding down the stairs and he bounds down the text, which is just so good. Not one of Roald Dahl's best books, but a wonderful book. And I was having a rough day, so I thrifted this and went to my favorite restaurant and slowly ate it at opening lunch hour. Slowly read this book while I ate, and just had a wonderful time. So I had a good memory with it. And then we have a children's book called Half Magic that I also read. I read a lot of this. I kind of took a long walk and just kind of slowly meandered and read parts of it and kind of sat down and read more and then finished it the next day. And it was wonderful. It also has a Quentin Blake cover, but it's by a guy named Edward Eager. It's a bit dated in some ways, but I thought it was wonderful. And the premise is that these kids find a nickel on the ground, these 4 children. And it's not actually a nickel. It's like an ancient coin with magical properties that if you wish on it, it gives you half of that wish. So needless to say, the kids figure out pretty quickly that it's pretty easy. If you want an ice cream cone, you just wish for 2 ice cream cones and you get it. But some things it's hard to wish half for. And it just kind of follows their mistakes and adventures throughout, and it's just wonderful. I hope to have kids one day, and I don't know if this is a book that I'll read to them, but I'll go through it again and then see if it is, because it just has that magic of exploration, and these kids love reading, and so it's just a good book to put into a kid's hands, I think. Here we have another beautiful, dense, classic Signet classic of Adam Bede by George Eliot. Which it has Alexander Dumas called this novel the masterpiece of the century. So I wonder if Alexander Dumas was reading this in a French translation or if he could read English. I don't know. But of course I want to read Middlemarch, but I wonder if Adam Bede would be a better thing to go for before Middlemarch. This is probably longer than it appears because these Signet classics have dense pages that are very text heavy all throughout. Like my copy of Moby Dick in the Signet is also about like this size, just a little bit bigger. So Adam Bede, I'm very excited for it. Here we have a book that was assigned to other English classes but not mine, and it's Flowers for Algernon. The story of a man who has severe like mental, what's the word for it? Handicaps? I don't really know what the word for it is these days. But he basically struggles a lot with mental health and just has a very like low IQ, I guess you would say. And there's like a study or an experiment done on him to make him very intelligent. And it's the story of his rise and fall of his intelligence through his diary entries. So it begins very jagged and in language that's English, but it's very non-grammatical, and then it becomes like genius level over time. Apparently, I've never read it, but I've heard people rave about it who read it in school from people who didn't love anything in school. So it's a good thing to have. I think it's a children's story. And then we have some Stephen Crane. I got this because Harold Bloom really admires Stephen Crane, and I'd never read The Red Badge of Courage in school. So I just thought it'd be a good thing to have because it has other works by him in here. Very dense, very hearty, something that I might reinforce. Not the most interesting looking book ever, but you never know. The content on the inside might be what grabs me. And then we got a classic of fantasy from Lord Dunsany, The King of Elfland's Daughter. Interesting cover. Don't hate it. Don't know if I like this kind of mint at the top. Maybe that's what I'm not loving about it. But I've heard, I know Michael K. Vaughan loves this book, and William Butler Yeats actually has a blurb on that. We find that he has but transfigured with beauty the common sights of the world. Well, that's so cool, because I love Yeats. That'll be great. Okay, cool. Now I really want to read this. I've got, I think back there you can sort of see it. That book right there is The Lord of the Rings. So I have now 2 classics of fantasy. Now, this is fun for me, because this is the Purgatorio by Dante, translated by John Ciardi, who, as far as I can tell, wrote one of the best or one of the better translations. He has a great translator's note at the beginning of this that I love, or maybe that was the one for the Inferno, but now the only one I need is the Paradiso from John Ciardi. I haven't found a single volume with all of his translations from all 3 parts of the Divine Comedy, but I'm really excited for this, because once I have all 3, I'll go through it, and I really like this Rorschach-like strange painting on the cover. It's very cool. Is this a mentor? Yeah, it is a mentor. Okay, cool. I have a great mentor of Sir Gawain the Green Knight. And to finish things off on this quickly done book haul is one of my favorite book covers I've ever seen. It's Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, with those 2 mischievous, I guess they're going to be the people who are up to rule the Diocese of Barchester, the bishops. Who's going to be the new bishop? I've never read this. I have The Warden. It might be what I go to once I finish Moby Dick, once I do the read-along. Either that or a Jane Austen book. I'm feeling English. I'm feeling very English these days. So I'm so excited. I have another hardcover of Barchester Towers, but I had to get this from the cover. This was also 50 cents. So it's like, what are you going to do? Really excited. I love how Signet adds these pictures of their authors. They always look so wonderful. That's a little book haul. I'm going to go organize these books now and probably get back to doing some music or some reading or maybe take a walk or something. But I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time, Book 2, likely in the Moby Dick read-along. Bye-bye.